Welcome back to Secrets and Sabotage. Very happy to have our next guest on. Ella, welcome to Secrets and Sabotage.
Thank you for having me.
Very successful podcast host, psychotherapist.
Correct.
And yeah, I've seen a few of your podcasts, very compelling, very thought-provoking.
Have you actually seen them?
Yeah, I watched a couple before you come on. Yeah,
Did you?
so
Which ones did you watch?
I watched the young guy who was the guy with this shaved young lad recently, skinhead.
Skinhead?
Yeah, well, short cropped hair.
Oh, talking about prison?
Yes.
Ben Hatchett.
Yeah. I think I need to come on. I've got loads of trauma in my life. So
well, you're more than welcome.
Some of your videos I've stopped watching because I was I wasn't planning to feel my feelings today, and you've made me feel my feelings, and I didn't want to.
Well, you're coming on the podcast too.
I'm going to be on the podcast, and I laugh at you for crying. I bet you I cry. I'm such a so I've been taking the piss out of Kieran for crying.
I only cried once, but on national television.
If you're going to do it, do it properly.
Do it properly. But saying that, I am such a crier.
Why?
So, it's been since I've had kids.
Yes.
And
you said this, actually.
It's been, there's so many different times. And it can be the last time I think I cried out loud, when nothing had happened, I was watching a film with Ryan Reynolds in it where he plays his older self that comes back from the future to save his younger self. And I've completely forgotten the name of it. But in it, their dad passes when he's young. So when he comes back and they get to see his dad, and his dad's saying to him before he goes back to the future, "I love you." And he's like, "Yeah, Dad, I know." And he goes, "No, I don't think you do. I love you. You need to hear this." And I'm on the plane sat next to my kids.
Is it If, that one? Is it where he comes back?
No. It is. I've got to find the name of it one. But the way his dad was telling him, because he was like, "You're not getting this, and this is the thing you've been missing your whole life."
Aww.
And I just broke on the plane crying. And my son's like, "Daddy, what is wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Nothing, son. I love you." Like,
You were watching my scene, weren't you?
Oh God, yeah. So you're a fan of the Traitors, as we are.
I am.
As we are. What was it that drew, from a professional point of view as well? Because that must play a part in how you watch it.
Yeah.
What was it that drew you to the show?
Do you know what? Part of it is that I think most of us in real life wear masks anyway, and we're always sort of putting on a different version of self for wherever we are and whoever we're with. And on that show, people literally have to wear a metaphorical mask.
Yeah.
And it's seeing how that can evolve and seeing how that affects you. So that sort of creation of self in order to win something, what that does to the psyche and how that changes interactions with people. And it kind of taps into that idea that our thoughts create our reality. So if you're pretending to be somebody else, like with Charlotte pretending to be Welsh, those things, if you're doing that, what does that do to the way you interact with other people and their perception of you? Yeah. So I love it for that reason, because I think we can all relate to it.
Yeah.
I don't think people are consciously necessarily thinking, "Oh, I can relate to this because I've got 5 different personalities." But actually, we all do it.
Yeah.
We're all different people with different people.
I did that in a show. I think you've got your real self, which is who you are on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
That's normally the real you.
Yeah.
And then you've got your...
filthy in most people's cases.
Yeah.
Or annoying when I'm texting you all the time, man. Yeah.
Oh, he loves a voice note, this one.
I do, actually.
I can't be asked to write an essay in text, and I'm a very short visual person.
Yeah.
If someone sends me a document, I will scan it for keywords.
Yes.
It bores the life out of me, yet he wants to detail the ins and outs of a duck's arse, but so I just have to leave him long voice notes because I just can't be asked to type. So.
No,
when it comes to messaging, we are the polar opposite, because I'll send you 4 words and that's it. You can figure it out from there.
You know what they say about love? It's the same resonance, polar opposites.
Okay.
There you go.
Ooh.
In love.
we have
been
that
from day
a few
one
times.
Yeah,
we're
I'm
going to
sure.
start another podcast, which is a dating podcast, but just for us.
Yeah.
Really?
How we met in our journey.
Like OnlyFans.
Just the two of us. Well,
Nice.
Everyone's got that separate self, because you've got like the basic ones are your real you and then your work you. Because who people are in the office is I did a whole show on this where I said, imagine if we had one day a year like The Purge, where you could say and do whatever you wanted and no one could say a fucking word about it.
And did you do that one?
Oh God, I could never do that.
Really?
I'd love to
Well,
in an office space. In an office space.
Well, anywhere.
I mean, now I feel a lot freer now because as a comic, because I do get to be myself. But even on stage, it's not the full me, because you change stories, you elaborate stories to make them funnier.
Yeah.
So there's still it's more you than you'd normally be allowed to do in a workplace. Mm-hmm. But I still don't believe it's the complete you.
Also, you have a lot of mirroring techniques, don't you? Like when I go in to consult and for my day job, you have to read the room and you have to look at the characters, who's not engaging, who is engaging, and the mirroring is like a really good skill set to have in life, because if you're trying to get a message across or to relate to people, you do have to do a form of mirroring at certain times. So it depends whether you can pick up on that or not, really. But
you brought up Charlotte.
Yeah.
I really have to talk about Charlotte, because
you got some serious issues with her.
No, I saw something.
Her.
Yes.
Yes, me too.
If this was a film, her character was perfect.
Yeah.
There was and there was a part in it, so the whole way through, because even as a viewer, I underrated her.
Yes.
Because I'm going, what are you being Welsh for? What was the point in that? Just be yourself. And I completely underrated her.
Yeah.
And I think everybody did.
Yeah.
You
kind of didn't notice her, to be honest.
She blended in. She
did.
And also, we mentioned it earlier as well. Her technique of saying she's going to come in and pretend to be Welsh. She said on a chat after the show, did it made her reset or think before she opened her mouth?
Very clever technique.
Mate, it's one I've not thought about
Genius.
before. It is absolutely genius. So she has a chance to think before she
pause.
Yeah,
which is what probably most people should do.
Yeah.
But
no, I don't.
Yeah. But do you know what? That is so clever, and also just the way that the minute that she was given that opportunity, well, it wasn't really an opportunity, it was do or die, wasn't it, to become a traitor, her face lit up.
Yeah.
It wasn't like she
didn't shy away.
Yeah, she was just, yes, let's go for it. So you can see that she's very adaptable and very, very flexible. And actually, in terms of mental health, flexibility is the greatest tool. Because and physical health as well. But if you're not flexible and you can't adapt, you can't survive.
No.
And so what we saw there was this amazing flexibility with that kind of stop, think. She became flexible in the way that she approached it. And then when that role had to change, she wasn't given a choice. Well, she could have died, but she chose to stay part of the show and become
same as
flexible.
Me when I had my one, right, the ultimatum. I didn't like it because I was quite
Oh, yes, because you came in late.
Exactly the same thing. So, kicked out, came back, and then got the ultimatum in episode 10. It happened to Freddie this season as well. But I think Charlotte secretly probably wanted to be a traitor from the beginning.
Look at the difference between her and Freddie.
Yeah,
they got the same ultimatum.
Yeah.
Yes, it was at different times, but he took his reluctantly. He didn't want to do it. He looked like a kid being dragged to school.
I felt so sorry for him. He just wanted to mother him.
So if he'd have thought it through, he'd have thought, I'm not making out of this. But with Charlotte, before that, so do you remember at the beginning of season 3 where people thought it was her?
Yeah.
And I was like, it's ludicrous that any of you would think that. And then they all were like, yeah, there's no way it's her. So even when it did,
she was the most trusted, wasn't she? Really,
she
all
was
the way through until the end.
Well, even at the end, that was quite 50-50. I didn't know which way it was going to go, first of all, but she did something. And I thought, she is awesome. And it was when they did the seer.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Did you see her face change?
Yes.
When she went, you do know that you can't tell anyone about this.
Yes.
I don't know if it was the edit, but the way she had the champagne, I was like, you look like a villain.
I loved it.
The way she
took off
it was quite sexy, actually.
Yeah.
It was sexy.
It was so cool.
She picked it up like a Bond villain, basically.
She did.
It was like she took off another mask, and I was like, oh, Charlotte's cool.
She is layered, that woman is.
I think she come under, like anything, you can't go on that show. I've seen lots of online stuff on Twitter. Like we said before, Twitter's not the place to go if you're a contestant on The Traitors. With the love, always will come the hate. And there's been many people speaking out about how the winners and what's happened. But let's go back a little bit to actually the SEER and the new strategy and new rule putting in place. So one, you can't reveal yourself now as you go.
Yeah.
There's a few key elements this season. Yeah. Can't reveal where you are. So the paranoia is a level 10. But yeah, implementing the SEER. What did you think about that?
I thought it was brilliant because it gave, again, looking at the different masks, it gave us the insight into even the way that was put together. I mean, it was very cleverly edited, actually. Yeah. And for me, that was probably the most gripping moment of the entire season, I felt.
I didn't see it coming, and I didn't see the repercussions of what happened afterwards coming, because I actually thought...
Yes, that was the other bit.
I thought, that's stupid. I thought, why would you tell someone who they are? Because now you know. Yeah. I thought, oh, God, but now you know, but no one else does.
It's because they made that change of not revealing yourself and implementing that, and the way she built it up as well, Claudia's saying, we will give you the most powerful tool that's ever been in the whole of the show, basically, the ultimate power.
Leanne was very right when she was like, I wanted it, now I'm glad I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Because for Frankie...
That was the end, really.
That was really hard for her.
Because now because she was given that position of power, and I suppose that's another thing that I liked about that, is that we look at anyone in power... You know, they can become either a goodie or a baddie.
Yeah.
And it's how we perceive their power.
You see it so many times, only when people were in a job, when people are given a higher position, how they react to it, how they deal with their peers. It's a true test of character.
And I'll tell you who else is a really good example of this is Trump. Because the first time he was in power, everybody thought he was evil. They hated him. This time round... There's a lot of polarity still there, but in America, more people voted for him because he knew, after having power once, how to play the power game. Yeah. So if you get two chances at having power, you understand the game, because it's all a game. Yeah. Remember, it's just a matrix. Yeah. It's just what you step into. Yeah. And you can choose how you step into that. And I think the thing is with Frankie, she's too nice. So so it was interesting that she got it, because she couldn't handle that power, because you could see her...
Oh, she hated it.
Yeah, you could see her feeling really uncomfortable because she just wanted people to know. And ultimately, it was her downfall.
Yeah, the beauty of the casting, though, because we mentioned it, we had Dr. Amos on, you can't have all people that are willing to do everything.
No, you can't.
And go to level 10, because the show won't work. You need... the emotional people, the people that will only go so far. You need people to go, I'm not going to do that. That casting is so key, and I think
I'd like to see a season where it's just psychopaths.
A lot of people go in, I know for a fact there's like a qualifying process for it. And some people are saying, I don't want to be a traitor, and some people are pint, and that doesn't mean they're going to get the role, because those traitors can't all be the same personality types or skill set. You have to have some I wouldn't say weaker, but people with different plan of attack than the other person. You've seen it this year with Linda, Amani, and then
I loved
Mina. So yeah, I did. I think
I thought she was fantastic. Not the greatest traitor, but it was a shame that she was gone so soon.
Comfortable so early. That was her downfall. The confidence level was too
She was very excited.
I loved it though. Yeah,
and she was bad, not because she was like a terrible person. She was bad because she was so excited.
Yeah,
and just ran in full guns blazing.
Natural leader. She just took like water to duck's back. But she got so. I mean, what's it? For episode 3, she come into breakfast like skipping in. She was like, I didn't have a care in the world, but it was her ultimate.
But she was a good. It's a shame she was a traitor, because I'd like to have seen her for longer.
Yeah,
I felt it was a shame that we're both sisters, but more her. That's no disrespect to the other one, but she had something about her, didn't she?
Well, we've seen it in previous episodes, I think, with the older character, like the matriarch, with Amanda with us. We had Andrew in our season. You had Sonia from in season 2, and I'll still talk about Sonia. I think she would have been the person they were looking for. The third time round, we've got Linda this year, and Linda has been the amount of online stuff. She's literally one of my favourite people that's ever played the game. I loved her. She's from Hertfordshire as well, but people were online going, "Oh my God, she's the worst one. How are you not spotting her?" But actually, those 6, 7 episodes, whatever, however long she lasts, she gave us TV gold. She gave us entertainment value through the roof.
The acting that she was doing was hilarious.
I wanted her to get to the end. I'm not going to lie. I wanted her to.
Brilliant.
Love that. Yeah. She'd have got
She should have got a statue. Well, she still deserves a statue now, but if she'd made it to the end and won, there should have been a statue.
But it just goes to show the skills that you get through life.
Yes.
And how, that wisdom. And how you can apply that. And I think watching is a really important part. Obviously watching the show, but watching each other and learning from each other and picking up those body language cues and eye cues. I think with Linda, it sort of fell down with the emotion bit. She obviously panicked a bit and thought, right, I better show emotion, and that was she. I think she would have probably lasted a couple more episodes. I really do think she might have sailed through the breakdown. It was so. If you didn't spot that, you must have been Stevie Wonder. No, you could have.
The breakdown.
It was. Oh my God.
In her mind, must have seemed like a really good idea.
Yeah,
like,
she must have. That's what I
I'm about to nail this, but everyone's reaction to what the fuck are you doing? She's hilarious.
She was my baby when she's coming from my baby. Like, you didn't even speak to her, bless her. But I think she'd like.
You got a crush on Linda?
I do love her.
You said that she was my baby. I'd tell you who we've never spoken about it. What's the Keith? Was it Keith? Taekwondo Keith?
Keith. Yeah.
Keith.
Yeah.
From series 3?
Yeah. He went out the window.
Exactly.
Sorry, Keith.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. He was in there for about 5 seconds. I do remember him now.
The comedian in my brain, because when he said, when he got to the platform, his journey was very short, but it, for me, was filled full of so much comedy.
Yeah.
Because he got there, he went, "I'm a professional window cleaner." My first thought was, I've never met an amateur one.
I might be classed as an amateur.
I've never met someone that finishes their day job and go, "Well, you go to the gym, now I've got to clean some windows."
Yeah.
That cracked me up. And then when he got voted out, because he got killed, didn't he?
Yeah.
And I swear he got killed really early.
He did. That's why I do remember him.
Well, this is the thing. But he goes, "I think I know why they've kept me out, because I'm a friend, I'm a father figure." I thought, to who? You just got it. I was like, these are all things you told yourself. I'm going to be the father figure.
But in his defence, like, obviously you do bond. We talked about it earlier. You do have a bit of time with each other, and probably some of the younger people, he was probably like a bit of a father figure in the background. But obviously the edit you won't see. But we were talking about this the last time. Like, everyone doesn't have the same journey. Some people that go out early, you're only going to remember half of the cast. It's such a shame because you had some real yin that went out.
Oh yeah, she was in there for like 4 seconds.
Maybe. But she literally was so supremely confident. Had probably the most hardcore traitors finding plans. She had Post-it notes. She was going to colour code them. She was going to have a conversation with them. Depends on what the conversation was like. She was going to move the. She was, exceptionally clever.
But that's why she went out so quick.
Yeah.
It's a lesson to any future contestants. If you are smart, like Leanne this year.
Yes, she did that was cracking.
Going in, wearing a pink suit, saying she's a nail technician and completely putting everyone off the scent. She's actually a very skilled.
All the way to the end, even the way she was on the helicopter at the end.
So clever.
And she was like, I was like, that is brilliant.
She's a tactic where how you would perceive her was complete polar opposite of what she's actually like as an individual. Very smart, high training skill set, life skills, but no one even looked at her twice on that. So that's a good game.
She's another one you say that had dealt with a lot of trauma.
Yeah, she has.
If you get through trauma, I can't see how you wouldn't be stronger on.
You've got so many skills and tools and the ability to push things away.
It's no one wants it or wishes it on anyone. But
I actually think we should all, have certain
trauma.
It depends. I mean, there's levels.
Depends on what it is. Yeah,
but
absolutely.
You get a perfect life, and that person has no resilience for when something goes wrong.
Yeah, I'm like this with my kids. I always used to say, I just wish and hope that my kids have none of the scars that I have. And now they're getting a bit older. I'm like, I want them to have some.
They have to. Life is dark and light. It's not this linear bubble of protection. So that, the minute that you go out into the real world, if you don't have that experience of dark, then essentially you're going to fall flat at the first.
This is why I cannot get down with gentle parenting.
No, I think it's the worst.
Do it.
No, I can't.
Because I've seen the way some parents speak to their kids. Yeah. Like, that's not going to happen in the workplace.
It's definitely not. Or in the school. As soon as they hit secondary school, that is it. They go from being really nurtured and cuddles and to, you're with 18-year-olds now, get with the program.
Yeah.
And if you can't, and don't get me wrong, there are things that are very wrong in the way the education system is run still, but essentially we need to be tough. And what you saw with Leanne was this girl is tough, and I love the fact she looks the way she does. I love that. I just thought, I'm going to swear now, that is fucking fantastic. You've turned up literally looking like a Barbie doll.
Yeah.
But there's these
there was thought behind that.
There was so much thought, because if you see her pictures on Instagram, and she's in her uniform, no lashes, no nothing, and I love that because she's, again, it's flexibility. She's able to adapt.
I think trauma, like you quite rightly say, can be good. When I've done my show, Hannah said it. She was like, Kieran's got a real edge about it. And I was like, I didn't go on there and tell my life stories, but I've had like 3 major traumatic experiences that have altered my personality.
Yeah, they do.
And they've been in different parts of my life. One was in my 20s, one was in my 30s, one was in my 40s. And I'm a different man in all of those decades. But those experiences that I had to me have altered me. They've changed me.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Because when we talk about altering and changing, I feel like I must do this as part of my professional. Do you feel that from a body perspective, or when you say they have changed me, because there's someone like Leanne, for example, and particularly Charlotte, we mentioned earlier that she would flip into an accent and she'd have to stop and think, but there would have been so much that changes, because obviously accents, the way that you use your mouth and the way you use your vocal cords, you have to change that physiologically.
Yeah.
So the link between the brain and the body, that there'll be different signalling. Yeah. So with trauma, the way that the cellular activity works, because there's 3 major traumas that you talk about there, they'll all link into each other. Do you feel that you were a different person, i.e. from a physical somatic point of view, or do you feel that you were forced into a different way of thinking and then the neurobiological bit changed?
Very good question. I've not actually processed it like that. The first one was the loss of a baby, my sister's baby, of meningitis. He died when he was 17 months old.
That's awful.
So in my 20s, seeing a dead baby affects you, massively affected me still to this day. Second one was when I got stabbed. I was nearly murdered at a party. I got stabbed in the chest.
I mean, this is not good, is it?
I had a punctured lung, and it's a miracle that I survived. And the third one was the loss of my mum. I come from a single-parent family. My mum was everything to me, and I lost her suddenly, nearly 5 years ago. So they're all loss, obviously the 2 sides, but then nearly being murdered myself. They're very different traumas. The 2 losses are baby and mum, 2 people really close to me, and then nearly losing your life. So they're all very, very different traumas.
What do you think? I know this is not about you, but just out of interest, because we can relate it to the show as well. But what do you think that it did to the way that you see life? Because that's where you say, well, I've become a different person.
Great question. The last one was it's devastating. That being nearly murdered obviously was what I had to deal with myself, but the loss of Harry and my mum. The last one was I had a real dip, a real dip where I thought I felt suicidal. I felt really, really low, but then I could hear my mum saying to me, like, my mum was quite a tough character. Say it's a coward's way out or something like that. If you did do something silly like that, my mum would be the sort of person going, "That's life. You move on. You learn from it." And out of all of that trauma, the one thing that's come out of it, which is probably the best thing that I can relate to, that heals them all nicely. So I lost my mum on the 19th of March 2019. Suddenly, then a few months later, I found out my wife was pregnant.
Wow.
And my wife was pregnant, and we found out it was a little girl.
Oh.
And my daughter was born a year to the day that my mum died.
Do you know what? This is my actual belief.
And we called her named after my mum. So
what's your mum's name?
My mum's Vanessa, so it's Tia Vanessa. We've called her. But a year.
So cute.
But you think about that. If there's not signs or like
that's synchronicity.
Yeah.
Nothing is accidental.
Yeah.
So if you look at have you heard of quantum entanglement?
No.
I'll say it very, very briefly. It's just how particles. I'll tell you a story that matches this up. It's how particles have already connected, even if they're far, 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 far away. So someone doesn't need to be here anymore for that particle to still have linked somehow.
Yeah.
There is a quantum connection between them. And the other day I was filming a documentary about Tommy Morrison, heavyweight boxer in America who's in the Rocky movies. Yeah. And he died when he was 44. And Callum, the director, at the end of it, we were talking. And
did he die of HIV?
No, it wasn't HIV.
Oh, okay.
You'll have to watch the documentary. Okay. Not that I'm plugging it. But he did. He had a false positive, but there was loads of negative results as well. There's a lot of backstory to that. Very interesting story for anyone that doesn't know. Look into it because it will blow your mind. But he died at 44. Right. And he died of a spider bite that turned into sepsis. His heart couldn't recover from it because a gauze from some heart surgery had been locked in his chest, in his heart. And so his heart could never recover properly from this spider bite. That's what. And then he had blood poisoning.
That's what my mum died of, sepsis.
Well, so yeah, it's very, very common actually, sepsis. Much more than people realise. And it's a really, really scary thing. You've got to catch it in time. But he was 44. Callum, the director, said, you know what, I had this feeling all the way through my life that I was going to die at 44. I said, don't say that, Callum. God, you bring your reality into it. I said, actually, I think what it is that you were meant to do this work, quantum entanglement again, particles that never met each other, that existed, that were brought together in this quantum thing. And on that very day, to the day, my best friend died a year ago on the day. She died at 44, and I've got 44 on my hand, tattoo. And I said, my best friend, we're filming today on the year anniversary of her death. She died at 44. Tommy died at 44. You thought you were going to die at 44, but actually we've all been brought together by the number 44. And the number 44 is an angel number. Right. So there's this quantum kind of entanglement of particles. Yeah. And I truly believe that when someone dies, that energy is redistributed, because they say energy cannot be destroyed. Yeah. And we're made up of about 20 watts of electricity. So that whole story there, your perception is someone's gone, but they're only gone in the physical sense. Your mind can lock into that. Yeah. And the reason that's all relevant, I think anyways, on this show, you can see the way energy affects the whole process. Energy is not just something that we talk about in terms of I've got loads of energy or I've not. You walk into a room and you could see it with the final episode, I think it was, where they started to sort of turn a little bit against Charlotte. Yeah. And they all left the room together, and there was a moment where she said, oh, all right then. And she was left on her own. Yeah. You could feel the energy watching that. I felt so sorry for her, because although she was the traitor, we know, and you know, Kieran, because you've been in it, she didn't get a choice. No. Yeah. And yet they can't help but take it personally. Yeah.
You say about the energy, and there was the episode before that when they tried to when Charlotte stitched up Freddie. Oh, she got him to try and murder Leanne. Now, when they walked in, everyone was in a good mood. Yeah, Leanne, all she did was walk in, sit down, and a look on her face changed the
whole mood
of everyone. Yeah.
It's felt. We've got about 10 meters. 10 feet. What's 3? Hang on, let me think about this the right way. I think it's 10 meters of energy that emits around us. Okay.
Yeah, energy spreads.
It does, because...
Absolutely. Aura, energy. Yeah.
Electromagnetic waves. People always think I'm going off on a weird tangent here, but if someone's walking in a room... I mean, you've been into a party or a pub back in the day where you just thought, I've got to get out of here. I mean, before you were actually, I know we're going off the traitors again, but before you were stabbed, did you feel something coming?
Yes, I felt a threat, but I was overconfident. I sort of overlooked the threat, thinking it might not actually happen.
So you felt it in your system.
I felt something.
Gut feeling. It's all energy. Everything's moving in you. All the neurotransmitters.
Gut. They say you trust your gut, and some people say
the gut's got as many synapses as the brain does.
Yeah,
that's literally why it's called a gut feeling.
100%. And it don't always work. Let's get it wrong, but there may be reasons why it didn't. But 9 times out of 10, that gives you a natural chemical, whatever the reaction is, it warns you subconsciously of something that's about to happen, whether
your body is just always, so your brain body system is, people separate the brain from the body, but as you say, the gut's integral, and the brain body system is one. So when you are picking up on an energy, your brain is able to pick up on that signal, and it will prepare.
Yeah.
So that gut feeling is just your whole body preparing,
getting you ready.
ready.
I used to do it in the clubs, and it's when I was a bouncer, and it's one of the reasons I stopped doing it, because I became completely desensitized.
Yeah.
To any form of violence.
Yeah.
It just did not bother me.
That's a good thing to tap into. If you've worked on the doors and club like that, the amount of things that I've seen.
I'm just used to watching people,
and I mean bad violence as well.
It completely desensitizes you. Like so you think anyone that does any job that deals in trauma, violence, anger, will have a very skewed sense of humour for what they find wrong.
God, Jeff, you
have
to.
And when I was a bouncer, I would go to work thinking it's going to kick off today.
It's a natural,
because that way, if it did kick off, I wasn't surprised.
Yeah.
The downside of that is that your thoughts create your reality, like I said earlier. So then your thoughts and your reality are always in a state of fight, flight, freeze.
Yeah.
You're never escaping that state.
I wouldn't relax until the last punch had left and we shut the door.
Yeah.
And even then, I'd be like, someone's trying to follow me home. And it would be when I get home and I turn the key off and I'm settled,
then you shut.
When I'm like, and that's when I settle.
And what's interesting about what you're saying is, I would love if they had to do neuroimaging scans in between episodes to see
the spikes and
and what's actually going on in their brain body system, because it's what people forget about fight, flight, freeze, that don't talk about it often, is that it's all perception. Most of the things that we're scared of are perceived. This is a pretend game where there's money involved, obviously, so that's the excitement and the dopamine, but it's not real. And yet you can see, like Frankie, she was getting really upset. This is serious now, because money's involved, obviously. But also,
Amos says it was real to her.
Yeah.
But also, when you think of when, this is probably the best example of this, when Charlotte came in after the face-to-face to found out, she had an option. She could have curled up in a ball and thought, I'm done there. But she came in and she fought.
Oh, she
went. I'm so impressed with her.
That was a good story.
Oh, it's fantastic.
She was brilliant.
I was thinking, there's no way you can't lie yourself out of this. Like, she knows.
Mate, and that's a massive respect to Charlotte for doing that, because it was not for everyone to deal with it in that way.
And it wouldn't have been easy.
And I was so impressed. Well, curl up in a ball and just go, I'm done. Or actually fight for it. And the way she come out trying to flip it, it's probably one of the best moments.
I mean, she's either a very good actress or a psychopath. I'm not sure. I love her regardless. As long as she doesn't go around killing people, she can be a psychopath. But what's interesting about that is, going back to the brain-body system, she was literally pretending that she wasn't pretending. It was an act over a pretend thing where she's not a traitor, she's a faithful. And she was literally crying. She was literally sobbing. Her body was having this physiological response. And for that moment in time, like all actors and actresses, when they do a crying scene, they are going to be consumed by the emotion, even though it's not real.
Yeah.
And that just shows how powerful perception is.
Yeah.
See, at the very end of the traitors in the final, where it was Leanne, Jay and Frankie, who else would Alexander.
Yeah.
Because obviously we knew they were all faithfuls. And so I know this isn't real. I know it's about money, but I know it's not real. And I'm going, no, don't do it again.
Yeah.
And I'm really involved in getting all of those signals to my body as though this is real. And I don't know these people. It's not going to affect my life in any way, shape or form.
Yeah.
But we're all invested in a story.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And a journey that they've gone on as well.
Yeah.
You know what? The skeptic in my mind thought, I wonder if they all know that they are faithful, but if we whittle it down, we'll get more money.
That's what I thought.
That's what's going around at the moment about people saying, is it going to be shortening the money? And loads of people have had theories of it.
You know, logically, when you're stood round there, if you're all thrown in, we don't believe, like...
I think Frankie was the only one I would have confidently said if you were there that she should have remained. She should have.
I felt that.
Alexander's journey, very similar to mine. Thrown out at the beginning, came back, had loads of twists and turns, had question marks all over him. And the only thing he didn't do was get converted to being a traitor. But
he was a very
phenomenal
good
player.
He's a very good speaker.
Very good. That's why I think he's a diplomat. I think there's more background to him than meets the eye. He seemed his skill set, diplomat, reading people.
Well, he weren't very good at it.
He had good intuition. He had good
intuition, but he wasn't able to apply that in a way that made people.
I think he held back a bit, because I think if he was the intelligent side of things, if he was going too far and going, right, for the X, Y, and Z reason, this is why I've broken it down like this, I'd think, okay, now, right, he's
maybe.
Do you know what? It's also, again, goes back to perception.
Yeah.
His accent, his demeanour.
Yes.
How
very well educated man, you could see that.
But things like being well educated, like if you come across posh in a room full of people that are working class,
it's fickle as anything.
I don't listen to you now.
Absolutely,
because it's like you're looking down at me.
Yeah.
You think you're better than me. Even though that's not the case.
It's hardly
that's
ever
just
the case.
how he speaks. But it's very easy to go, I can't relate to him, so I'm not listening. And again, so when he goes to speak, if it's something you don't relate to or understand, it might be using words you don't know. I'm now not listening to you.
But that's a really good point with playing this game, actually. And again, it goes back to Charlotte changing her accent, because the Welsh accent is a French. She said that, didn't she? People trust the Welsh accent.
Brilliant. Yeah.
She was very clever to tap into that. But that, again, just says that everything that we're doing is just a projection of self anyway.
Yeah.
Because if I don't like your accent because you think you're better than me, what I'm actually thinking is, I don't think I'm as good as you.
Yeah.
It's not about them, because you've just made that assumption. So this is why I love The Traitors, really, and some other reality TV, but this one's good because essentially when I was a kid, I was really not that interested in board games.
No,
the only one I liked was Cluedo. And Traitors is very much for me the board game Cluedo. There's always twists and turns, and even the house itself is very much like that. So I like it for that reason. And I can understand it. It's not too difficult to follow. It's not too complex. But I think what comes out is I'm very aware of projection myself, because obviously as a therapist, you have to be. You can't project onto people. So I'm really tuned into that. And you're watching all the way through going, that's just your own insecurity that is actually now going to hold you back from getting... Mina was good for that, because I felt she was able to really create and cultivate this sort of barrier between her and everybody else, play the part well. Perhaps some would call that manipulative, but she was in a game, and that's the point. And actually Charlotte brought that point up to Frankie, didn't she? She said it's just a game, because Frankie was getting upset, but that's Frankie's own issues being projected into the game when they're standing in the kitchen alone. And Charlotte said, it's just a game. Because I think Frankie said, why are you doing this? And she said, it's a game. I've got to do it. I've got to play the game. But people can't separate themselves from the game.
That's what makes
reality.
the show so well. The separation just cannot be made with the different personality types. Going back to Mina, I think an absolute masterclass in Traitors.
Yes, she was so good.
Whether she's watched season 1, 2 or whatever, like just generally, obviously she's a call centre manager, so she's not from any sort of background, just intuition, and too good, really. Like, got to the end.
About her?
I'm just gutted she didn't have the opportunity to have a team member with her, because I think they would have, we called it a few on the last season. She would have definitely got to the final, and she would have definitely won if she just had that
you're right.
second traitor that had her back. Like she was going to have.
Linda did.
Yeah, she just couldn't make it through.
With Mina, what I liked about her is that she wasn't malicious.
No, she wasn't.
In how she played the game.
It's a masterclass.
It was.
It was really good. Yeah. But even to an extent, Charlotte was tactical, but it was like she was open with what she was going to do. And when Charlotte voted for Mina, you did see like her face was like, because I really believed Mina.
Yeah.
Similar to when I looked at Will, I could feel the burning eyes. I've come this far, and you always have a feeling about it. But the death stare, I was like, Like, you could sense it through the TV. You could feel the aura. I was like, oh, she's
Freddie, when he was staring out Charlotte.
I know.
I did think, how did you not see that? I don't know if that was the edit, but he was like, if looks could kill.
Yeah.
How much is it edited out of interest? Because you've said edit a couple of times.
How much is it edited? The way that I see it is they're filming all day for an hour episode.
Yeah.
They must cut it to fuck.
Well, they will do. Like with every other reality TV show, you only get a tiny amount.
And they always say, I know a few people from, I won't mention names, a few people had an issue with the edit because they didn't get as much screen time as other people. And it says when you sign up to it, you're not going to get the edit. Some people may feature more. It's a TV show. Entertain.
They have to edit.
If you're bored, I'm not being horrible, but if you're boring as shit or you bring nothing to the game, you're probably not going to make the edits. And that's as simple as
You've got to have something about it. Not everyone has.
No.
And we have to accept that as well. We have to accept that as human beings, that we've got different parts to play. And if you want to be more interesting,
bring to the table.
Yeah, bring it to, like Mina, you know, she was interesting.
Yeah.
Call centre manager, like you say, on paper, she doesn't look like she'd be the most interesting person in the world, but she obviously understood how to be interesting.
Yeah.
And maybe that, because one of the things that's really important to say is that communication is 90% non-verbal. Yeah. It's eye cues, it's body language, it's all those things, as you know, because you're a salesman. So that's really important. Don't just think about what you're going to say. Charlotte got this from the beginning. Think about how you're going to say it and
when you're going to say it, timing, delivery.
It's a game. You have to think that way.
Yeah, and Charlotte, like because Charlotte had a dip where people are turning on her online and stuff like that, going, oh, she turned on Mina. But like I said, traitors.
It's called the traitors.
It's called the traitors.
It is what it says it is.
She's responsible.
I love that. People get annoyed at it.
Oh, but Charlotte's responsible for giving us some of the fucking amazing moments from episode 10 to the final.
Yeah, you're right.
Give her 100% credit
for the whole way through.
Mate,
I thought she was brilliant. Like, even as
I hope she doesn't get too much stick because, like I say, people watch it and get entertained, and I've seen it this year as well. There's a couple of individuals on Twitter, and I just watched out this year. They were abusive of me, Will. I mean, vile, like getting really personal.
Really,
I've just seen the same person write a big statement about the two winners going, I won't repeat what it is or give them the time of day, but the most disgusting post and why they shouldn't have won and stuff. I was like, mate, but don't watch the show then, you absolute cretin.
Can I ask a question without getting the name? What's this person's job that's writing in life?
I can't see it. It's just a Twitter person. He's just one. He shows his profile, but he doesn't say what he does for a living. I'd love to have a conversation with him.
They never reveal much about themselves. My point with this is if you are going to watch a show called The Traitors, and then what you're going to do is you're just going to be really vile about people personally, I would ask the question to anyone doing that, what's going on for you, my love?
Yeah.
Because you're clearly really unhappy.
Not right person. You're not right in the head.
There's something going on for you. Who has hurt you?
Yeah.
What happened in your life that you feel that's acceptable?
And it's funny because I've seen it. I say he's got the same profile photo, and I had to bite my lip on the first season because I don't like people talking stuff. I have to pull them up on it.
Yeah.
But you can't because all he does is fuel the. I'd love to if I bumped into him. Absolutely.
Would you show him love?
Well, there's half of me. I've got a split personality. Half of me would not be impressed with him at all because he.
Yeah, but could you?
Oh, yeah.
This is why I asked the question earlier about what you've learnt from being.
I know where you're going. This, absolutely. Yeah.
Because the way I see it is, if someone's going to come for me, I'm immediately going to have to go back to the mask thing about the traitors. If someone's going to come for me, and they have in quite vile ways online before, I have to think, wow, like. I'm actually going to love you a little bit more right now because I feel like that's what you're lacking. Yeah. And I might have this personal response to what you're saying, but it isn't personal because I know it's not true.
I've separated it. So my instant reaction, I've learned to absorb. That's thanks to my wife and people around me. Just chill out, slow down, think, process it and actually think of the reasons why he's doing it and stuff like that.
And I'll tell you good people to follow. Good people to follow on this, and you probably know them, especially with your job. Chase Hughes, who is, I think he's ex SAS.
Military,
you know who he is. And then Chris Voss. So Chris Voss is an old FBI negotiator. And Chase Hughes is, I believe, is a neuroscientist now as well. And they talk a lot about body language and how to spot things in people. But they, particularly Chris Voss, uses a skill called tactical empathy when you see what I'm saying. Yeah. So you come out of, and he uses it with people that are, what's a hostage taker called? A hostage taker, is that what they're called?
Somebody who takes
a criminal.
A criminal.
A terrorist.
A bad man or woman.
Yeah.
So with them, like, they might be holding a gun to someone's head, and it's the negotiator's job to get that hostage safe.
Them, relate to them. Yeah.
So they have to be very good with tactical empathy skills. And so I think when someone is attacking you, and the reason I've mentioned their names is because obviously we haven't got long enough to describe what you would do. So, they're worth having a look at. If someone comes for you, try and show tactical empathy. So instead of being defensive and taking it personally, remember there's something in them.
Yeah.
And I want to help you because essentially you're not in a good place.
And after I've done the show, so I feel very defensive of some of the cast. I was like, I've been there.
You know what it feels like.
I've gone through the meal. I've had, with the high will come the lows, and with the good will come the abuse.
It's so insightful having you on. I've been really looking forward to this because you're a professional and we just chat shit. So it's nice to see.
We could talk for hours here, to be fair. I find it fascinating. So maybe we'll get you back on. Yeah, 100%.
I love it when people do that. They go, maybe get you back
on.
No.
Would you come back on?
Of course I would.
There you go. We'll have you back on.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.